how to photograph children and actually do a live shoot. Let me introduce from North Carolina to the Nikon stage, Nikon Ambassador Tamara Lackey.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Thank you.
All right, I get my light back. You ready?
Hi, everybody. We've made it out of the darkness, all in one piece. That was crazy. Was anyone here for the whole thing? The whole light out, or dark out, or blackout, or? Yeah, that was really nuts. I think over there, too, you walked through and it was like a cave. There was no window light, no door light, but we're all good now. And what I want to talk to you today about is children's photography. Specifically, my experience having shot for about 15 years now professionally, photographing children. A lot of what I've come across in terms of things that can work really well for you if you photograph children, and challenges that might come up here and there for you, and ways that I've learned to deal with them, tips that might help you. Anybody here photograph children? Portraits? Ants? Landscapes? All right, so let's get started. I have found that one of the most impactful things about photographing children is they come to you as they are. Very raw, very authentic, very genuine, and that is great and also challenging. It's great that you don't have to work hard to get that expression that's very, very true. You don't have to go past their usually preconditioned smiles that come about when they get older. You guys know what I mean? When you pull a camera out, you say cheese, and you get that exact look every time, no matter how they're feeling. So I do love that. But what I also like is that with one session, I'm often getting quite a variety of looks and feels from the same subject, simply by changing not just the look and the feel and the pose and the technical settings, but also how I'm interacting with them. That can have a huge impact on the way one shot taken, honestly, maybe 90 seconds apart, just switching the orientation, switching the mood and the feel, switching the angle, and you have a whole very different look. I love the energy, the magic that kids bring of all different ages. How when you talk to an adult and you say, just give me your full feeling and everything you've got, they're like, what do you mean exactly? and with a child, you're gonna get all of it. That's one of my favorite things. These two images were photographed in the Dominican Republic, working with two children, very different types of children in terms of their personalities. One was very vibrant, very engaged, lots of laughter, lots of dancing. The other one more like, I'm not sure what you want from me, but I'll stand here. And sometimes you don't have to work, you don't have to overcome any challenges to get an amazing photograph of a beautiful child with an intensity in the eyes and the look and the feel. These were photographed with the 105-28 macro lens. It's a portrait lens, but also acts as a macro lens. And I took that lens only with me on that trip and was able to get quite a good amount of different feels in terms of not just the people, but the landscapes and obviously all the macro objects that I could photograph. These three children I have photographed since they were born. This image I just took about 2 weeks ago. This is in a bedroom. It's using hard lighting, mixed colored lighting, and they're just on the bed jumping around. But why I wanted to do this shot like this was because I have photographed them over the years doing something that's high energy and vibrant and full of joy, but in different conditions. So in this case, like I said, we're indoors. We're using strobes to light the shot and mixing different colors to get a different look. An image I took, this was probably about a year ago, is out in a park. Now we have very soft lighting. We've changed the angle. We still have all that vibrancy and that high energy and that fun feel, but this is shot with a flash and a very neutral kind of color palette in terms of the lighting coming across. This image was shot about a year before. Take a moment to take this image in while I explain it to you, because it's way more complex than you might think. This was I photographed this on a beach, sun is setting, it's backlit, and what I have is three different kids with three different personalities and three different desires to be up front and center for this shot. Everybody wanted me moving, everybody wanted to make something happen. The boy in the background, our ninja kicker, I made him do this jump, and I'm not exaggerating, easily 100 times, because we wanted to time it so that he was jumping over his brother, who is not immediately underneath him. That's some perspective going on there. I wasn't jumping on his head. But we wanted to set the whole thing up so it was framed, so we had the parents in the background. I wanted the sun coming through just at that level. I wanted that shot to be arced in a way that when you look at this, there is an arc in terms of the composition. And I wanted everybody looking up at me, and the girl in front especially, to have her eyes lit. So I'm laying in the sand, kind of below, the way the beach would kind of go down to the water, and I'm lighting this with a reflector, and that's the only lighting I'm using on it. And at the end of the day, I think I took 300 or 400 shots to get this one image, which is not the norm for me. I'm normally kind of, all right, let's keep going, but I had it in my head and how I wanted to do it. And it was just a matter of just persistence, but keeping them constantly engaged. When you ask someone to do something again and again and again, normally they'll be like, yeah, I'm done. But in this case, making it into a game to get a higher jump and everything you can think of to keep them with you emotionally. This little girl, I was photographing her for fashion shoots, and we had, she was dressed up to the nines, a beautiful look and feel, but kind of uncomfortable looking directly at the camera, and I couldn't really get this look from her where she was more engaged and she was laughing. I had a very kind of simple look that I was getting over and over again, and by simply sitting on the ground saying the shoot was done, and just bobbing back and forth and moving the camera away from my face. This is something I do quite a bit. I'm holding the camera and I'll move it away from my face and my body and engage with my subject so that they no longer have that barrier between us. And I end up getting these looks where it looks like they're looking at me, but they're actually looking away towards the camera while I'm over here. And I take the pressure off. I take the pressure off the kids to have to give me a certain look or perform in a certain way. And that can make all the difference. I put together a brief video, about a 3-minute video, that shows, I think, how it feels to be photographing children. And in this case, we have 2 little subjects. We just walk out. There's no team. There's no additional lighting. It's simply I have one assistant, and we're kind of just setting things up as we go. And the goal here is to respond to what they're giving me and try to adjust it on the spot. So that if they're running away from the camera, okay, how do I respond to that? I'll set it up, but then I'll try to respond in kind. There you go. That's it. That is photographing children and the madness of it. Thank you. For those of you who have done work where you feel like it's a challenge and it's a lot of effort, if you don't have that joy and that passion for it, it's something that I would strongly urge you to reconsider how much you're doing it as a photographer. Because I have friends who photograph all kinds of different genres, and one of my friends, especially, who's a wedding photographer, said, gosh, if I had to chase a toddler around a park and wipe the snot off their nose every 10 minutes, I would just quit. I'm like, what? I think that sounds amazing. So it's about following that bliss and what an impact it can have. I have, if you saw it there, I don't know if you noticed, I was photographing with 3 different light sources. One was a flash, the other one was strobes, and the other one was constant lights. And I tend to cycle through those as I go. Today, when I do this shoot here, I'll be using video lights, or the ice lights. And so you'll be able to see just kind of using the wand light, what you can do with portable window light, basically. Probably one of the simpler options you can have outside of flash. But I do almost all my shooting now with the D850, the Nikon D850. Anybody get a chance to try it? Yeah, you're probably hearing a lot of us say that. It's that good of a camera. It really is phenomenal. I also shoot quite a bit with the D5. So those are my 2 main cameras that I love. And the 105 1.4 lens, if you get a chance to try it out here, it's astounding. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of glass I've ever touched. And it's a joy to shoot with it. So that is my favorite one. The other one is the 24 to 70 2.8 lens that I'm using a lot. If you want to see more of the whole gear kit, you can go to adorama.com and then just check out all of that. But a note on some of the video I showed you. If you notice this little boy, it was very difficult to get him to stay for anything. He was constantly distracted. He wasn't like not into it, he just wasn't into it. And so what I found is a few techniques that really made a difference. In this case specifically, trying to get anything to attract his attention. You saw I shot through a stick, some woods. I will shoot through leaves. I will lay in the leaves. It's about getting just the 1,000th of a second you need to get the shot, because that's the amazing part of shutter speed. In this next shot, he is coming at me. We are photographing him back on the fence, and now he starts toddling towards me. And I have to very rapidly change my settings. If I am photographing him at the shallow f1.4 aperture, and he comes at me, the closer he comes to me, the more out of focus everything about him becomes. And so I either have to run backwards but miss this proximity of him in the lens, or I need to quickly change my shutter speed and my aperture. And the two obviously are related because I shoot everything in a manual mode. So the second I say, okay, I want more of him in focus so that I can see all of him but still have that beautiful blurred background behind him, that means I also need to adjust my shutter speed to be able to control for the lighting change when I do that. This little girl, you may have noticed, was giggling the whole way through, and I get a lot of subjects like that that are just so fun, but you're getting one look again and again. And I found by simply turning her away from me, I wasn't necessarily going for a profile shot here, but by turning her away from me, I get this, she just calms down, she changes her expression, and you get this whole different kind of photograph. These two girls, I think this is a really good example of the variance that you have in a smile. I'm not talking about laughter, I'm talking about a smile. In the image on the right, it's pretty apparent that she's smiling, and I actually had to work pretty hard for this with the green background because she was giving me the smile she thought I wanted over and over again. And the way to move through that I have found is to simply just keep dropping your camera. Just drop your camera as if it's over, and then be prepared to shoot quickly with a very fast shutter speed, which is how I end up in that look. The girl on the left, if you just glance at it without looking further around her lips, it looks like she's quite serious, actually. But you're having that smaller little hint of a smile, which I think makes a big difference. So our laughing girl over here, our big smiling girl, this image was also taken very, I'm gonna say 2 minutes later in that same setting. She's on the same chair, she's near the same window, she's got the same clothing. I obviously changed the orientation, but I also want to get a little bit more of that serene look from her. And in this case, this is holding the camera away from my face. I drop it a little lower. You see how she's lit, where the angle is shot from a lower angle? That's me just dropping my camera a little bit lower and engaging her in conversation. And when she takes a moment to listen to what I'm saying, I'm leaning forward and I'm fixing her hair and I'm adjusting things and I'm making sure we've got catch light in the eyes those specular highlights in the eyes that really light up your subjects. While I'm doing that and interacting with her, she's actually looking towards the camera, and that's this look she has where she's looking down a little bit. It's one of my favorite techniques. If you haven't tried this, simply holding the camera away from your body and getting shots like that, it can really change a lot of the variety you can get in your images. That's not to say those bursts of laughter aren't amazing and worth going for on each and every shoot, because they are. And often isolating your subject, cutting everything else and having them fill the frame can give you more impact from that type of expressiveness. The challenges I'm speaking to, a lot of it is trying to get a child to do something a little different so you can get a different look and feel. But there's something so beautiful about that raw feeling of, this child's nervous, they're anxious, they're unsure. I think every one of us at every age in life feels that way, and I love that raw capture of that experience. And I make sure to try to bring those in when I see them. Instead of trying to change it, photograph it as they are. And these really sharp, high contrasty black and whites. Most of my images, when they're black and white, they're high contrasty black and white. They're not the softer ones. And the way I do that is by simply shooting with a more contrasty scene. I've got brighter whites, darker darks, harder light in general to be able to achieve that more contrasty black and white look. Overall, I feel like there's this magic and this joy and this creativity and this life and this spirit. It's one of the more extraordinary things that I can find to photograph, and that is why I love photographing children. And speaking of, we're going to do a live shoot right now. And if you have any questions, you can find me on this website and all the social medias. We're going to do a live shoot right now, and interestingly enough, not only bring up our model, Brooke, come to the stage. How old are you, Brooke?
I am 9 years old.
Brooke is 19 years old, and she is here, what?
I said I'm 9.
Yes, 19. And then we're going to have 2 lighting assistants join us on the stage. See how I did that? We have a Mike Corrado, what is your exact title?
I don't know, senior manager of something.
Senior manager of something at Nikon. My assistant, how funny is this? This is how all in Nikon is for their company. And Lindsay, what's your title?
Senior manager of something.
Senior manager. We've got 2 senior managers of something up here as lighting assistants. That's amazing. All right, so what I'd like to do is we're using this simple wand lighting. These are the Ice Light 2s. And what this enables us to do is like portable window light. Bring it out and take photographs. If you want to see more about this, you can go to my website, just tamaralackey.com. It's the Westcott Lights by Jerry Gionis. So we're going to use, pardon? All right, so what I would love for you to do is we're going to start really simple. Brooke, if you can stand. Wait, did you wave to the people? Did you wave? Very nice. Super shy. So we're going to have you stand right there. And all I'm going to do is I'm shooting with the D850 and the 105-1.4 lens, my favorite combination. I try to use this combination for everything. And I'm just going to set up the manual settings. So what I'm starting with, first and foremost, in this situation, is I'm going to start with having her lit so that we know that that's happened, and I can now dial my settings in accordingly. And whatever comes after this, I'll be in the position to photograph. What I don't want to do is get her doing something amazing and it's not lit. Lindsay, you're already tired. We haven't even started. Bring it up. All right, so what we're doing is, and you'll be able to see what we're doing, but we're simply lighting from the front. We're just going to do a simple broad lighting for the purposes of this demo. Scooch right here, girl. And before I do any sort of elaborate posing, I'm just going to walk through how I would set up this shot technically. I like the lighting, it's pretty. I'm looking right away, and I'll get 2 shots real quick, actually, just so I can tell you this, so you can see it as we go. So let us do, Lindsay, do me a favor, just drop your light real quick. Yep, all right. And without doing anything else, just like this, Brooke, put your face up just a little bit. Yep. So 1 shot out of camera to see what I'm talking about, so you can kind of follow along as I go. Ish. So you can see ish.
Gentlemen in the back, please change out the screen.
We're going with this whole theme of CES. Okay, good. So you see this image. What we did is we dropped the light, right? We had her lit up perfectly. We dropped the light, and we end up getting this shot where if you're looking at this image from a lighting perspective, we actually have tiny catch lights. Oftentimes you won't have any light, but we've got this bounce. We've got this light coming through, bouncing off this light surface and back up into her eye. So even though she's away from the light travels in a straight line. It's still coming back up at her. And we have, what we have also is a really shallow depth of field. So even though you are all behind her, that kind of drops out based on how we're lighting her. But what I would like to see in this is more light. I would like it brighter. I want more vibrancy in the eyes. And we're gonna work on expression and posing after that. So if we can bring the lights back in, gentlemen. Oh, and just for frame of reference, that was shot at an ISO of 1600, a shutter speed of 1/1000th, and an aperture of f2.8. I gotta tell you, most of the time when I'm dialing in settings, because I'm responding to who's in front of me, and I could hardly tell you exactly what I'm at. I'd have to look down and check. All right, so we're gonna try this again, and I'm gonna just adjust the light a little bit, and then you, girl, give me your chin up just a bit. Okay, so real quick, great posing tip. I said, do me a favor, turn around. I said, do me a favor, put your chin up just a bit, show what you did. So I said, just a bit, and we go from this to this, right? And so what's very helpful is to give guidance on what just a bit is, because children tend to be very literal, especially when they're listening and being very helpful, which I appreciate. So when I say just a bit, what I'd like to do is imagine that there is a string between her chin and my fingers, and then when I say just a bit, I'll look at Brooke and I'll say, all right, just a bit. Yep. So you see that? So she'll respond in kind, just a bit. Just a bit. Yeah. And then you can almost direct. So you start out by saying, here are the rules. This is what we're doing. When I do this, if you can do this. Just go ahead and try, for the most part, to put your weight on your back foot. And then I don't have to go over it again and again. All right, girl, let's jump back. All right. So, beautiful. I'm going to take this hair out of your face so we don't have to combat it. Your earrings are just so on point. I love them. I'm going to show you something I see from a backlight perspective that I'm going to adjust, but let me show you real quick what I see. So if you look at this image, what you're seeing is, oh, is this shot to crop? This is set up for crop.
I don't think so.
It is. I think so. Yeah, but we'll, yeah, it's this, can we, oh, that's what it is. Can we just adjust that
Funny,
real
we have
quick?
a product manager right here with us.
Haha.
Stall.
I will stall because I have something to say. Well, the thing I was going to say you can't see because it's on top. But what I found is that when I was photographing Brooke, there's this really sharp, bright light back there because we have light now at CES. Oh, it's very exciting. And it was coming right out of her head, and it was distracting me from seeing her. Your eye goes to the point of most contrast in an image, and if there's something wildly brighter than her behind her, my eye's going there and not to my subject. Thank you. All right, so let's do that again, and I'm gonna, this way you'll be able to better see what I'm talking about. Good. That's so funny, the light went away as soon as I said that. Literally, they're standing in front of my light. All right, come back to me, girl. Let's see if I got it. No, I didn't get it. I'm gonna ignore that. Just avoid bright lights behind you. All right, girl, let's start posing you. Let's put one leg in front of the other. If you look at this image, do you see how she's a little hotter, a little brighter up around her face and a little darker below? An easy adjustment to that is to simply adjust where the light's coming from. So actually, Lindsay, if you could stay here, and then you stay here, because what we're doing from a lighting perspective is mimicking a main light and a fill light. We're actually utilizing a main light and a fill light. There we go. And then breathe. All right, so look at what you just saw, and look at what you see now. Far more even lighting. It's a little adjustment, but looking for that, thinking where is the light hitting your subject, how can I quickly adjust it, and how can I have a whole different experience with that?
All these people get in here.
I don't know. Jump backwards real quick. Like go all the way to the edge of the stage, Brooke. All right, let's lighter. And I want to just give you a little example of the difference that we're seeing when I am adjusting to a portrait of her where she really pops and doesn't just blend in with everybody else. So Brooke, you're gonna look at me though, sweetheart. Thank you. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and really bring that aperture to a much narrower number. I'm going to be like at an f7.5. And that means in kind, I have to adjust my shutter speed and my ISO. So I'm going to be about a 3200 ISO and a 1/400th. And I want you to see the difference in terms of what else comes into the scene. So a shot like that, everybody else starts coming in. And if I ask Lindsay, can you turn the light up and at them a little bit at the highest level? Take it up to level high, it's at 6. You just go up. And then you look towards me. What you see is that you guys start showing up more and more. Mike, step back just a hair. Hey, Mike, can you step back a hair? Very good. All right, and then you're just gonna do this. I know, right? It's crazy, it's a party over there. We start seeing big shifts, and all those lights behind her start popping out, and you start being able to make out more of what's going on versus it all dropping out. And part of that is a bit of lighting from here, and part of it is going ahead and pulling to a much narrower aperture. All right, so let's do a little fun posing in terms of how I would tell a child to pose, what they would do, and how we adjust. Stand right there. We only have about a minute left, so we're gonna jump in here. And then you guys, oh my God, Mike and Lindsay, you're amazing at this. If you ever want to leave your day jobs.
Thank you.
We're good at this.
All right, so Brooke, you're gonna stay there, and I'm just gonna give you some ideas of how I want you to pose yourself. So put your weight on your back foot, and go ahead and put the other one in front like this. Yep, that's excellent. And as you are, just lean forward at the waist. Okay, very good. And how about this? Just lean forward as you would. Go ahead, just lean forward like you would if I said lean forward. Can you guys see this? You have to be very specific when you are asking your child models to pose. Leaning forward means she's going to fall. That's what she's doing. Leaning forward a hint at the waist means I'm getting the look and feel that I want from an angle perspective. All right, let's go back in. Ready? So lean forward just a hint at the waist. Yeah? And instead of telling, like I would tell an adult model, put your hips over here, what I would say is just go like this, go like this, and come back to me like this way. And just lean forward a hint at the waist. Back a little bit. Stay. Very good. Beautiful, girl. All right, and then I've got to reset from back what I was doing over there. Wait, take a breath real quick. Take a long breath. That's excellent, great breathing. I'm gonna drop to a shallower depth of field. It would be at f2.2. And lick your lips real quick. Lick your lips. All right, tongue back in your face. Very nice. And we start having, do you see how I drop my angle? And even though she's leaning forward, it now looks like she's standing up straight. Why I would do something like this, and we could actually adjust this bottom light a little bit, but the reason I would do that, ask her to lean forward a little bit, and ask her to lean forward a little bit, and then change my angle, is that we have more fluidity in the pose. She's not blocked up and down. I'm able to get more of that by simply giving her a little bit of a hint, and then I respond separately. And we're gonna do one last shot, apparently on the ground, and then we're done. Ready? This is apparently the shot. We're gonna, yep, there you go. Lean forward towards me. Yeah, hug your knee. You've got just the sweetest knee. Hug your knees. There. Chin up a bit. Excellent. And this is our final shot. Give me everything you have. Ooze it from your eyeballs. Is that your oozing? Excellent. Boom. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brooke. Brooke, take your bow. Bow.